Alright, hello everybody. My name is AJ. This is the Prismar Rage of the Fallen, and this is is it our fourth game? Yes, our fourth game. Wow. I don't think I've ever had a campaign that's run this long on online, aside from maybe play-by-post games. Okay, so where we left off our characters, they had just basically captured a lich accidentally. And got into a big shit fight with stuff that they disturbed in a sacred tomb of the Goliath up in the mountains. And then they'd got into a fight with what looked very much like a bunch of other player characters, which was laid down the law on everybody, but didn't kill anyone because Bronze Dragons are nice guys, and confiscated a bit of their stolen loot, but otherwise let them go. And the other player group has moved on as well. So the party has left the the lair of the cultists and the tomb that they ransacked, and which has been the site of the last three games, and are finally moving on to investigate more of the world of Prisma, when they unexpectedly come across Oren's friend Isak, Galavir, who is making his way up the mountain path as the player group go back down the mountain. I'll take it. You guys can take it from there.
This is. Oh, go ahead. I was gonna say, is this as we're going down the mountain?
Yeah, you basically just turn the corner and are moving down, and Galavir has spotted the remains of the Grell further up near that tree, and is eagerly making his way towards them to investigate this new type of monster that he's never seen before. When you guys see him coming running up the mountain path, basically, you're all sort of a little bit frazzled after encountering a dragon firsthand. Smell of ozone and fish is still heavy in the air. And yeah, you see him coming running up, and so we'll go with Chepe describing what his character looks like and stuff.
Okay, Galavir is looking very greedily, because I'm assuming the body is very in sight, like at least 30, 40 feet away or something like that. So he's looking up the mountain pass, and he's looking completely past you guys, who are probably huffing and panting in front of him. Tall man, 7'1", 6'8", something. Very, very big tiefling. His horns are coming out of the side of his hat, which his hat has something on the edge of his rim, maybe encrusted it with something, maybe carved some enchantments or something to it. No idea. There is a giant pole weapon of some kind wrapped around, strapped to his back side. He wears a long, very fanciful suit with a nice orange undershirt that is covered by another white collared shirt, which is covered by a nice tie underneath. You can see that it is embroidered with something, not really sure what. And as he's walking up the mountain path, you could probably hear the scuttle of his feet because he's picking up pace, practically a skip, as he goes past you guys. And he just rushes like right through you. If you guys were doors, you would be off your hinges because he just blew right past you and probably knocked the wind out of you as he looks at this huge body in front of him. He pulls out a notebook and he starts feverishly taking notes. And you can see that his arm is gesturing back and forth like he's thinking to himself whether or not he should reach for his pole arm.
I look over and I see you writing in your book. I say, careful, Galvadir. I tried to dissect the last one. Didn't answer.
What is that voice?
He looks back and the long curled hairs that looks like a judge's wig just gets thrown around and he looks.
Orwin, is that you?
Indeed. It's me.
I can't see you.
And he looks down. Oh, there you are.
And then I say, I'll pull out my bag. Gorlick! Bring me my notes.
Yes, master.
So he hands me my notes, and I kind of they're all scribbled in a leather folder type thing. I'm kind of ruffling through them, and I hand you my last notes. Take a look at these and see if you can find something different, maybe.
You hand me the notes.
Yeah, on the I sketched it out and basically found that the way they float is that there are two basically membranes, rocks, sort of things that move back and forth, and it creates sort of like a gyroscopic effect, and that's how they fly.
Fascinating. Simply fascinating. Did you notice their mating behaviors by any chance? I don't see any of those written down.
That's why it's good to have a second pair of eyes.
I guess so.
He looks at the body and he breaks out his polearm.
Well, did you at least dissect some of its anatomy?
I
don't see many of the notes or drawings. You're always terrible at illustrations.
This is how I discovered their means of flight, and yes, it was a bit of an explosive experience. I wouldn't suggest doing it at all.
His war scythe was about to be like unstrapped from his.
Oh, I see.
Meet my friends.
Friends.
Oh, there Azul floats over like he's walking on wind, and he gets up next to Orin and he says, "Who is your boyfriend?"
In one of the terms, a symbol falls off the wall unexpectedly, and there's a sound.
This is my good friend Galavir. He is taking an interest in the ecology of the world, much like myself. I think we have different views on some of the greater beings, but he's definitely we're definitely in the same field. We're on the same playing field for sure. Introduce yourself. He's a cool guy.
So I'll walk forward, looking Galavir up and down. I see his finery, these nice clothes that Azul could never afford. It's like I'm inspecting a chicken at the marketplace. I'm like, I do not know. He seems to be more clothed than man.
Well, since you're so uneducated that you can't even guess my race, what are you, an orc?
What was the last thing you said, Chepe?
Dang it. What are you, an orc?
Orc. And he scratches the side of his head, not even sure what an orc is. I am Therazul. And he sticks his hand out.
Galavir, member of the Four Orders, writer of the first bestiary of Prismar, erudite, scholar, dilettante, member of the finest organization to ever grace these deserted lands and mountains.
So as his hand is out and you go to take it, he withdraws it and puts it through his hair and says, "Oh, too slow."
It appears your manners are just as good as your biology.
You can see flies coming down and like landing on him. It's like a pigsty, and he turns to Orin and he smiles and you can see underneath his wrapping a couple yellow teeth, and he's like, "Here do."
Yes. And this fine feathered fellow over here. He's my other good friend, Sakura.
Are you some kind of flamingo?
Isakura eyes you quite suspiciously. He doesn't trust you at all, and doesn't make any gestures of friendship whatsoever. He doesn't even bother responding to your comment.
He puts his hand to his face, which his cigar has just suddenly disappeared.
Have you dissected this one as well? I've not seen this kind before.
Well, I'm pretty sure you're familiar with the Aarakocra.
I've never seen a birdman without wings.
Yes.
Is it a branched off species?
No, he's
Mutation, perhaps.
They've been taken from him. He's one of the reasons that I have him on this trip is I plan to build him some new wings. We're gonna figure it out.
There's a crackling sound in the tree as it's still on fire, and a branch breaks away and falls down the cliffside behind it. And you hear behind you a thud thud into the body of the ogre that you felled. And one of you turns around and sees that there's a grappling hook on some sort of rope, which is sunk into the creature as another one flings out of one of the cave mouths of the vault, and it starts to be hauled physically slowly across the ground with spread of blood underneath it. Slowly dragging its way into the tomb.
More specimens, or do I need to get out of here?
The grappling hooks are very small, but appear to be well made.
What is going on?
And as he looks, he sees fire and grappling hooks.
Like, Warren, what have you been doing up here? This is about as chaotic as the last cult orgy I've came across.
I kind of lean in a little bit. Well, I'm doing research, but my party members, you know the physical type. They burned down a temple and defaced the temple and the god, and now have a lich in a bottle. Yes.
And as he says that, the bottle comes out, and I hold it right up in front of our new comrade. Do not look too closely.
I try to swipe it from you. Do you jerk it out of the way?
Oh yeah, I'll try to. Let's see if I can. What will we do, AJ? Is it
Oh, did you want him to grab it?
No, I'm gonna try to jerk it out of the way. He's gonna try to grab it.
Okay. Let's do rock, paper, scissors. Okay.
Are you ready? Rock, paper, scissors. Ha, ha, ha.
I got scissors, I lost.
Yes.
All right. So yeah, he goes to snatch it out of your hand, and you snatch it away, and there's a brief nerdy tussle of arms.
Yeah. As I swipe it away, I say, "Oh, too slow, grasshopper."
What's
So
wrong
the
with that?
So the body of the ogre wedges its way into the vault door, and then you see many furtive little sniff niblin grab hold of it and haul it inside, looking at you very fearfully, ready to run off on the first indication that you're going to chase after them.
I think we've gotten and lost everything we need from this temple.
Well, I was just my way to see a dragon about an egg.
What about this egg?
What about that lich?
My eyes just narrow into little white dots. What about the lich?
Everyone would like. I could always use more samples. I don't have many cross-sections of liches sketched in my book.
Ooh. I do wish to know more about my undead servant, but there are precautions we must take. The soul jar can be emptied.
And I'll turn and I'm gonna look at Orin and say,
Orin, what profane magic can we use to bind this monster?
Maybe you should ask the paladin.
I look at the lich and I look at Asakura and I'm thinking to myself, he'll destroy it. My precious.
Still staring at Galavir, I say, I have rope in my pack.
Sakura, this is the closest your character has been to the exposed flask of the lich, and you feel a warm, tingling, warming glow coming off its. It's like a soft scented, glowing nightlight that you might have seen as a child. It's comforting.
Well, I suppose I could always do dissections.
You can see that he's holding a pack that's underneath his long coat.
What I'll do is I'll take the flask out and I'm gonna hand it over to Galavir and say,
If I were you, I would not pull the cork.
Understatement of the fucking year.
But I would need to at least get a sample of its smell.
Does it do it? Can I smell like the smell of decayed flesh through the glass?
No, it just feels icy cold to the touch, and it feels like it's full of spiders and scorpions.
Interesting. Sensation on my hands. Cool.
Yeah. It feels infectious. It feels like holding onto it is like, I don't know, holding something diseased, something like a nest of hornets which you don't want to rile up. Some
Can I do an
lingering threat.
Arcana check?
Yeah.
Can it see how active it is?
Yeah.
Or just a minuscule detail of how active it is?
It's very active. You don't even need to roll. It's very active. There's a malevolent spirit in here that wants to get out.
Probably not best.
As he's holding it, I'm just kind of like, my eye just won't like focus. And I'm like, my other eye's kind of like looking around, like, I'm gonna run.
How does it react to sunlight?
And he holds it up straight to the sun.
Oh god. The flask makes a shrieking metal sound, like it's something very hot exposed to something very cold, or vice versa. It can't take much more of that treatment.
So it's like burning at this point?
It's distressed. greatly distressed.
Agitation via sunlight. Very interesting. I wonder if there's an application for that here. Never mind.
He hands it back to Tarazul.
I'll need a proper place to actually do an actual dissection.
Agreed. And I'll turn around and look at Asakura now, because I saw his eyes light up a bit when he got close to it. And I'll hold it out, and I'm standing there with it in my palm like some profane contract from an oriental sorcerer. And I'm like, do you want to touch Isakura?
I cock my head to the side and begin to reach my hand out towards it, and then just I stop and pull my hand back. Like I want to, but for some reason I don't think I should.
Oh, God damn it.
I flash back to Therazul's mask shattering. It kind of overlays with the the jar shattering. Like, no.
Orin.
So the body of the
No, go ahead.
the body of the ogre disappears into the vault, and there's a merry sound of hacking and slashing.
Bastards. I was going to do that. Orwin, you seem distressed. Stop it. It's unbecoming of someone who should be in the order.
I saw this lich face to face. I think I have every right to be distressed.
There is no right to be distressed in the face of danger. No trouble. That is not worth the pursuit of knowledge. You know this. The Orters know this. Perhaps that is why you've not yet joined fully.
Well, if you wish to continue your research from the grave, that's fine. But I'd rather do mine alive.
I'm gonna add an item to your character sheets, guys. Both of you carry bullwhips. Just saying.
Okay.
Well, I have more pressing research. Since I apparently,
And he looks toward the ogre that was like dragged in. I get the image of like ants carrying away something like 30 times their size and like ropes, similar to like Gulliver's Island or something like that. You're hacking and slashing like a butcher shop going on in the background.
Yep.
Since apparently there isn't a dragon here I could talk to. I guess I'll just make my way back.
Yeah, you've got more than enough samples for your foray. So your pack is bulging with sample tubes.
Orin, you must tell me what you've discovered. Also, I may need your help with this, and don't look.
And he looks.
Tharazul, was it?
Yes, that is my name.
Turn around.
Oh, you're a very sneaky hot secret from Therazul. Oh.
Yes, I don't want you to see this.
Very
too.
well, Quilo.
You too,
Very
but
well.
Ella Kokra, I assume. Now that I know your story. Isakara, was it? Ishikra?
Isakura.
Isakra. Very well. Please turn around.
You've heard of Asakura. Now that you've heard his name, you know that he's actually a legendary, almost like a folk hero, and that he vanquishes evil.
Oh, just a quick heads up, AJ. I'm gonna try to look over my shoulder with a dart, one of my kunai knives, to see if I can catch the reflection of what he shows Orin. So I don't know
Sure.
if I need to do a perception roll.
No, that's fine.
Orwin, come here. Closer.
And he looks back at Asakura and he's like, fighters, they know nothing of intellect. And he pulls out a small pouch from under his robe, reaching deep within it, not knowing like how many layers are really there, and why he's able to endure the hotness of Prismar, probably because of his tiefling heritage.
Exactly.
He pulls it out.
I have a sample of something special.
Oh. My
But
eyes.
you have shown me a lich. I will show you something of equal importance. I would assume.
Pulls it out. An egg this size, spotted with striations all through it, like it's wavy almost in form.
Do you know what's in this kind of egg?
What is it? What is it?
A dragon.
What sort of dragon?
I don't know.
Hmm.
And that's what I'd like to find out. I could cut it open, but I want the embryo to develop just a little bit more, a little bit closer to hatching before I dissect it. It would be more useful that way. I was
Yes.
hoping to ascertain
Yes,
more
yes, yes.
information.
Puts it back in the pouch. Sticks it under his long trench coat, embroidered with like magenta and golden leaves, and things that curve around like seaweed.
Seems like our loosely stitched group here has a couple of very valuable items.
Yes. Something that would be really good to give to one of the Order. Though, I'm unsure who. Not him.
And he's thinking out loud at this point.
He's an idiot. Not him. Last time I gave him a sample, he blew it up. And, well, that poor dwarf. The thing could never look straight afterward. Well, there was the other tiefling. Nah. Orin, can... Wait, never mind, you wouldn't know. Damn it. Is there no one to correspond with in this area? Very well. Perhaps I could go find someone in White Rock.
Any ideas?
None. Since you apparently lack any knowledge of dragons. Do you, by any chance? You have a lich. It would not surprise me at this point.
Well, I met a chrome dragon a few hours ago.
Did you see a jag? Can you take me to him?
Sort of nice guy, but no.
Well, you're useless then. I know. How about you stay with me at White Rock?
Sure.
I need to gather information. Perhaps this time you'll finally be convinced to join the Four Orders.
And he says that out loud, the boom of his voice. Laughing.
There's an explosive outgassing of sap from the tree, which plumes into a fireball as he's holding his hands up.
That's a bit weird.
This area is heavy in plot.
The plot saturates the atmosphere.
It's, why don't we head back? I'm a little concerned.
Yeah, the burning tree is like a signal flare. It's still like afternoon, so there's plenty of sunlight and plenty of time to get back downtown.
Come, you'll stay with me.
What about my companions?
Them too.
Darazul, Sakura. How about a nice warm bed?
For one night.
Yeah, you can probably do with some medical treatment.
I will hide my knife that I've been using to spy and turn around, and be like,
Oh, sound good to me.
Maybe we can find a rice ball and some sake.
Like, is your face like completely wrapped? Like, is it wrapped around at this point?
At one point, it was wrapped above the nose like a ninja, but the rags are like loose and saggy now, and are kind of like hanging off of my face.
I'm still not entirely sure if I'm exactly right in what I deduced you are.
I am very mysterious.
Yeah, there is no chance whatsoever that you'll know anything about his order, or
No.
he's very mysterious.
Still don't know.
He puzzles to himself, and
I'd rather not think about it right now.
he walks aside.
Come.
You can tell he's starting to grab something out of his coat, and he... is it okay if I waste my thing of Hellish Rebuke?
Sure.
Right? So he sticks something into himself, just a bit, and then you see him hold a cigar up in front of him, and flames pour out of his mouth, and it lights the cigar.
Nice.
You guys are stressful. I needed a good smoke.
Chippe, could you roll me a perception check on? We'll use Dice Stream. Nice.
That would be a 1. Good night.
Oh, okay. So not only do you not notice something about Tharazul's character, but you now trust him a little bit more. You just got a good vibe off him. He's an interesting character.
He reminds me of the illustriousness of some of the Order. And also, you know, it's more than just tobacco in that cigar.
Yeah. There's something about him. He would be perfect as like a sidekick character, you know, somebody who can scuttle up things and get samples and things, so you think he'll be useful to you. Indiana Jones has his little sidekick guy in the Temple of Doom. What was that kid's name?
Oh,
Short round.
Short round, yeah.
Yeah, so he could potentially be your short rounds, Tharazul.
Okay, I'll work on it. Oh, hold on to your potatoes, Mr. Galavir. I think we got it. We're ready.
Okay, so you guys basically pack your stuff up. This counts as a short rest if you guys wanted to use it as such mechanically. And you can set off down the mountain as the sun is slowly lowering through the sky. You make your way down the mountain paths, which are relatively clean and clear because you guys came up here and stripped them of all adventure and excitement on the way up. You guys have been up in the mountains for several days. Well, the Sakura's been up for several days. You guys have basically been up a day and a bit to come and get him. Now that you've done so, you're returning to town. mission accomplished and triumphant. White Rock, as you make your way down the mountainside, comes into view as you turn around the corner late in the afternoon, and it's still a little bit of distance away. It's like a Greek resort, sort of one of those white daubed. You see them in pictures and stuff, beautiful blue sea and things. But instead of the sea, it's the dunes of the desert stretching off into the distance off the mountain ranges. And White Rock is this last bastion of civilization before you hit the desert sands. And one notable thing about White Rock is that it's got zeppelins tied up around it, and all sorts of hanging balloons and things are stretched up. There's washing off balloons and things like that. And they get all this natural gas, which is buoyant from vents, volcanic vents and things, which they've tapped underneath the mountain range due to all the stresses of the desert and things that plumes up out of here quite a lot. And there is a strong presence of alchemists who work with these noxious chemicals and things, which is one of the reasons why Oren's relatively rich in his profession and why it attracts so many scholars to this area. And also, it is a den of thieves and bastards because of the plying trade through the air. It attracts all sorts of people who like the idea of touching down and doing trade and then wafting off into the breeze wherever they want to go. And so you guys make your way down there up to the plains coming in, and there's lots of onion farmers and people who grow garlic and things like that, root stocks that can withstand relatively hot, dry conditions. Tomatoes bedeck all of the terraces, and there's well-guarded approach to the city within bowshot of various guard towers which are scattered around the place like termite mounds, with bored-looking militias who are lounging against things in their carapaces, relatively hot and dry. Still in this late afternoon, as you get down into the lowlands, the desert wind is blowing constantly with a burning sort of smell, and the wafting noxious gases of the city have that familiar sulphurous stink of White Rock as you make your way towards the city gates. Whereas you can already hear the clamouring of market traders yelling their wares desperately as they try and sell their last stock before it wilts in the sun. And the city guards are looking alert and, well, they've got fat purses already, so they're not really interested in bribes this late in the day. They just want to end their shift and go and get a beer. So they just wave you through.
I want to, on the way through there, AJ, I want to acquire like a whole bunch of bulbs of garlic, like a necklace of it.
Sure. There's people selling wares everywhere, so it's very cheap. It's like half a copper for a bulb for a string of garlic.
Oh, nice. And I will wear it around my neck like a necklace.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm really interested in the garlic too. So I get a string also. Kind of peel it off and take a little clove and pop it in my mouth.
Okay.
Once we get into a nice open area, I'll summon Gorlick and give him 3 cloves or three garlic, big chunks of garlic. Since he brought me my notebook earlier, and I didn't give him any reward.
Gorlick hates garlic. He's allergic to it, and he won't touch it. Gorlick does not do garlic. Get it.
When I see Oren eating the garlic, I put my hand on his shoulder. You see like nasty cracked yellow fingernails with mud stuck up underneath of them, and it starts to squeeze a bit. And I lean in and I say,
Do not eat that garlic, Oren. If what I hear is true, we might need it.
I kind of stopped for a second, my chewing. Flip it over. Go back to chewing.
There's also yams, tomatoes, sun-dried tomatoes, olives, grapes, olive oil, lean lamb, goat, dried fish, which is quite rare in this area and very expensive, and various greens which are grown in the city itself on people's shelves and things where they can water it. There's water conservation measures in place all around this place. People carry water bottles and flasks. There's no fountains or anything like that. It's very dry and dusty. And people generally wear a lot of robes to, it's like a Middle Eastern sort of look to the place.
Think I might want some olive oil.
That being said, there's it's a melting pot of different cultures, very, very diverse for a fantasy world. So you've got people in suits, you've got people in robes and sandals, you've got barbarians, you've got people from the blood jungles who are wearing basically S&M gear, walking around basically naked. And you've got barbarians from the mountains, including a few Goliath who are leaning against things and playing bones. And you've also got the Aarakocra, who are aloof and generally don't walk on the street. They'll travel around rooftops and balconies. So you see them fluttering overhead colourfully sometimes.
Turns over to Sakura.
Aren't you going to join your kin?
Sakura just glares at you. He looks like he's pretty much had enough of your mouth.
Sorry. It's just being polite.
I noticed the tension. I'm just kind of like, maybe we could all just use a drink, huh? I have a little something been wanting to try out.
Sure, right after I get some tomatoes.
Yes.
Oh my god, I just noticed Galavier's alignment. Okay.
Kind of as an offhanded comment to a Sakura, I will lean in seeing he's angry with Galavier and say,
Our new comrade is scornful, like geisha, don't you think?
Does that even make sense?
and his hand goes up and it goes down like this. He flops his wrist over and looks at his Sakura.
If a Sakura was capable of smiling, he would be.
As Sakura, you notice that one of the town guards has taken keen interest in Tharazul. Once Tharazul starts talking and walking around with his face showing, the town guard has looked over and is staring intently at him.
I tap Tharazul on the shoulder and I say, seems these guards may be interested in you. Have you done something here?
No, I have never been here, but this does not bode well. I had a vision of my shadow, and he was close.
Galavier, for the first time glancing down, you'll notice that Tharazul doesn't have a shadow.
He thinks to himself, there's only a handful of creatures he could think of that could possibly have such an anomaly. And he's already starting to think of the dissection in his mind of what Tharazul could be and what, if he cut him open, what could explain this phenomenon. Though,
it might be divine. He could be a heavenly creature. Therefore, he doesn't cast a shadow.
It's quite possible. And he's probably thinking in terms of Arcana, probably going through that in his head. So he's just going through a database of creatures through his head. He's not coming up with something right now. He's just like,
Fine. Him divine?
So yeah, there's a tavern nearby, and right next to it there's an apothecary, and tooth puller, hair cutter, barber, and seller of unguents.
I will go to a tomato stand and purchase about 3 tomatoes.
There's a wizened old lady who's selling tomatoes, and as you reach over and grab some tomatoes, she seizes your wrist and stares intently into your eyes. The gods bless you, sir. And lets you go.
Typical day in White Rock.
Very-
Typically, to think the fools here used to call this Blackstone.
Mm.
Or, wait, was it used to, or do they still do?
You call it White Rock because it makes more sense to you, but the scripts and things and the official documents call this place Blackstone. You know that her condition is fairly common in this area. When people get old, they tend to get a little bit mercury poisoned. So, yeah, their behavior is fairly common.
Dementia is a wonderful thing.
Sure.
He politely bows.
Thank you. I feel blessed already.
Completely unfazed.
Yep. She looks up at you like she's just noticed you were there and the coin in her hand. And then Sarah hurriedly stuffs it down her bosom.
He tries not to follow the coins with his eyes out of fear and apprehension. He moves back toward the others.
You shoulder past somebody who's scratching vigorously. Wade your way through the crowd. Your head's a foot above everybody else. They sort of part and give you room as best they can with your noble clothes.
Where did you want to go?
So the tavern is called the Happy Drumstick.
Does anyone want a drink? So,
Only one?
Is it a drumstick like a musical instrument drum, or a drumstick like a chicken leg drum?
Like a chicken leg.
so I walk up to the bar, and I'll take a mead. Oh, go ahead.
Yep. Yeah, you take a mead. The bar is a semicircle around a large round bar room. Right in the middle, it's almost like a teepee sort of arrangement, and there's a balcony around up on the outside, which leads up to other rooms in little minaret sort of spires. And in the center is a large fire pit, and there are several large, basically chocobo birds, which are roasting on spits, which they occasionally throw buckets of seasoning over, as some sweating bar ladies who are basically just wearing bikinis who are turning these things laboriously, and other servers which scatter around. And there's a series of long tables arrayed like wheels on a wagon, pointing towards the fire. And closest to the fire, it's almost too hot to sit there too long, and further away from the fire, it's smoky and dark. And it's thronging. There's lots of people in here, even though it's stinking hot. It's like 40 degrees centigrade. Not sure what that is.
Finally, I was getting a little cold.
So there are two bartenders, and they are doing a fancy juggling act with various fine drinks and things. And there's a series of patrons, mostly foppish nobles, who are sitting around going and waving scented candies, hankies in front of their faces. You notice they have coins scattered around as people throw them coins for their antics.
Ah, this is quite interesting.
Hmm.
Does anybody else gonna order?
Yeah, I order a sake.
Yep, they have sake. They said, would you like it cold or warm?
Would I like it cold? I want it warm.
And I throw my hand across the bar in outrage.
He looks down at Galavier, looks at Tarazul.
I'll take warm as well.
You hear him? Oh, sake.
Coming right up. Saunters over. Oiled shoulders.
Do you often
Nice.
have good taste in alcohol?
I look up at Galavier.
Oh, your brilliant mind think alike, huh, friend?
You see my cracked tooth, and I'm just thinking of the dentist that's like next door, the tooth puller.
That's exactly what Galavier's thinking as well. But how could a smile so crooked not leave a heart so enchanted?
A noble woman appears next to Tharazul, looks him in the eye, swings her arm, and slaps him across the face unexpectedly. You son of a bitch! I only wanted to be held! And then storms off.
I don't even move. I just take it in stride and wait for the sake. But in my head, I'm running through all the things my shadow's been doing.
Right.
I walk up to Orin and I say, Orin, my whole life I've denied myself the pleasures of alcohol. Order me something I might like.
The musicians stop there and see some drum playing, which is like in the background, and there's a general hush that passes across the patrons, and the bartender looks over at Asakura and pours him a drink, and then slides it across the bar.
I pick it up and sort of smell it. Just tip my head back, open my mouth wide, and just throw the whole thing down my throat.
Karakopra always swallowed in quite the amusing manner.
Observing how it goes down your gullet and how you can see like little oscillations as it goes down your long bird throat.
Falteringly, the music starts up again and people go about their business. Off in the corner, somebody skulks and scuttles outside they open up the door and run away.
So, now that everyone has their drinks, we're gonna pull out a little pouch. We're gonna pull out a little white. It looks like balls of salt. I'm gonna say, I've been working on this, and I was kind of thinking this would be a perfect way to save money on mead. So you want to try one? Talking to Galavier. It's oxygen pellets. Take a sip.
Felt sure you were going to say Quaaludes there.
No. You take a sip, and it rushes the liquor like it's sucking up oxygen. Get you drunk quicker. I think I'm gonna skip Osaka for this one.
No, no thanks.
Of course, that's just a theory.
I am well acquainted.
It's always hard to get a
theory.
It's so hard to find test subjects. I eat 3 of them.
I'll drink to that. I'll drink to that.
And he pours out some sake into his mouth.
So Oren fails his intelligence and wisdom saves, and and downs his own concoction. And not 5 minutes later is slumped in his bar stool, sort of like so.
Gulliver slaps Aura on the back.
Looks like it worked.
That was good shit, man.
The soccer
I can't ever find that substance. Nobody ever wants to help.
I slam my empty glass down onto the bar and say more.
He pours you more.
What is he pouring
He
me?
wants more.
He's pouring you spiced wine.
Okay. So yeah, same thing. Tilts his head back, throws the whole thing down his throat.
Right.
You like that shit of soccer? And I go to pat him on his back and I hit him right where his wounds are for his wings.
I just kind of grimace in pain, and shake my head a little bit.
We're gonna get you some more wings, man. I'm telling you. We're gonna fucking build it.
So in the doorway behind you, Grod, you see Grod, who's been very quiet and sullen this entire day after his items got stolen off him by a dragon outside the thing. Who's followed you back down the mountain without uttering a word and has said nothing to Calavia at all. Just as you thought he was actually a henchman or somebody like a pack carrier. And he has cleared a table of patrons and then gets up and goes over and just punches the biggest man he can see in the face, and very promptly is arrested by the town guard and dragged off screaming and kicking by no less than eight town guards who throw him into the brink. And you're like, glad it wasn't us. He was clearly going to beat up somebody today.
He does a hand gesture for more sake, and he points between me and Tharazul.
The bartender points over at the table that's been cleared and says, complimentary meals for the drinkers. Just keep on ordering. We'll bring drinks to you. Go and sit down. Clear some room at the bar. Take your inebriated friend with you. He says, flexing his pecs and causing noblewomen to swoon.
Yeah, when they're dragging Grodd out, I kind of have my head on the bar and I look up a little bit. He's a fucking asshole. He was gonna be an asshole, Grodd.
Well, the older bartender walks over and says, hey, the only asshole around here is you spiking your own drink. Walks back away.
You know what? I'll fucking spike you and you. Alright. I'm the baddest motherfucker in this motherfucker, okay?
Gulliver takes a small handkerchief from under his cloak and he wipes some of the stuff off of his white mutton chops. Like I imagine there's like alcohol drooling out on some of his mutton chops, so he just glazes over with it with a handkerchief. Like the white, after being in contact with the gray mutton chops, turns like sour, pale beige. Really should take better care of yourself.
Yep. You say with your bedraggled, like mountain-soiled clothing and your knees all dirtied up from kneeling down and your elbows splattered with grell juice.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly a man of the field.
The Sakura turns from the
You're
bar.
wearing your... Sorry.
Turns from the bar and starts to walk towards the cleared off table. And after about 2 steps, he's realized that his alcohol naivety is hitting him. So his limp becomes more of a stagger, and he sort of just like falls onto the table and then just sort of slumps into his chair and kind of steadies himself up and lets out a.
So people notice now that you sort of lean over the bar that you've got. It's not just a red cloak that you're wearing, but you're actually bandaged up and you have no wings. This is fairly noticeable on an Aarakocra. And once everybody sees that, and of course you're a well-known figure, they're like, quick, somebody get him some medical attention. And very quickly, the apothecary is summoned from next door. He comes in wearing a large white lab, the old buttoned up side with leather gloves and things, and he's got various goggles and things, and he comes in and he's like, oh, what a grievous injury. I've never seen one with his wings removed before. Quick, take him into my study. And somewhat against your will, Asakura, you are hauled up by 8 well-meaning bystanders who drag you next door into the apothecary. The door sort of slams shut behind him.
Hey, where you going? I like this jacket, but he fucking stole my friend. Let's go get him.
So you guys insist to go with your friend? Question mark?
Yes, and a very tall
I'm
looming
going.
shadow over the pedestrians as they're dragging him off. And you can see the tip of his horns over on top, overlaying the shadow of one of the creatures, so they look like little demi-demon horns coming out of the side of his hat.
Nice.
I will.
You don't trust the physicians. Sorry, what was that?
I'm gonna pull the sake bottle out of the warm water and just take the entire thing with me.
Yep. It's of the type that you can just have it sitting on your shoulder and go.
Nice.
Oh hell yes.
Master style. Okay, so you'll bustle into the apothecary's shop. It's got all sorts of jars and salts and powders, and there's steaming things. There's alembics and various decanters and things like that. There's steaming, bubbling stuff on a stove, some sort of sappy things. There's a pot with very obvious animal legs of some kind, which are slowly going down and reducing into some sort of goo. And he's got Asakura laid out on a table and is already taking off his clothes very carefully, and he's wiping them down with disinfectant liquids. And he sees he's sort of checking under his large eyelids to see that what sort of state his pupils are in, and murmuring questions about where it hurts and what's wrong with him and where has he been and what did this to him. He barely even
As soon
notices
as we
you
walk
guys
into the shop, I just like. Nope. As soon as we walk in the shop, I look around and I just fall on my knees. It's like I'm praying. This is like my church. This is fucking science everywhere. This is like fucking great. We're looking at all of the bottles, like, and they're like, kind of double visioned, looking at everything. Oh, what is this? Oh.
Gallagher raises
And then
an
I'm
eyebrow.
like, where's the bathroom?
Bathroom is outside, and there's a public trough. Hygiene in the city is not high on the list because of the lack of water. While impressive in the amount of stuff that he has here, your stuff, although less impressive in your collection of glassware, is far more refined, rare, and expensive. This guy is a working physician, so all of this stuff here is basically him making his own supplies for bandages, disinfectants, analgesics, that sort of thing. So these are collected desert specimens that he can take saps and toxins and venoms and things like that and work as best he can with what is available to him. Cheap, because people don't pay a lot.
Right.
He tries to charge a lot.
I might notice that tomorrow.
Yeah. So Isakra,
See, I run out to public trolls anyway.
Isakra, you have your
go
your
ahead.
ankle is bound, and he basically puts a moon boot on as best he can, and binds it up so that the tendon is not overly damaged. And he does a little enchantment and places a cooled pack on there, which he's cooled down using a cantrip. And then looking at your wings, he's like, "This is very bad, very bad." I can't fix this.
Well, Thurswell will walk up to the doctor, and in a very low rumble,
I suggest you figure out a way to...
Is that a threat? He says, a lens popping off his eye.
Do you feel threatened?
Yes, I do.
Please don't. He's harmless. Just look at his smile. You couldn't possibly take him seriously.
I wasn't aware that I was smiling.
I wasn't referring to you.
And he looks. He looks at the bottles and he kind of scoffs, looking at their specimens. Because it's nowhere near as good as what he's seen before.
Yeah.
Well, if this doctor can't heal him, perhaps I should try.
No. That's an affirmative no.
I'll walk over to Asakra's side and put my hands together and bow. Then, extending my hands really quickly, I start rubbing them together Mr. Miyagi style. I'm gonna reach out and just lay my hands and start rubbing the wound.
I just watched Kung Pao like the night before last, so I know exactly what you're referring to. Oh, it's good. It's good. No, it's really not. You've got to stop that.
Shall I roll medicine?
Yeah, sure.
All my bandages, like my entire ninja garb, is full of like antiseptic, so it might get some kind of aloe or something in there.
Sure.
Let's see. Did that roll show up?
No.
Oh, it's a 4. I'm going to use one of my luck points and go ahead and re-roll that.
Okay.
So that's going to be
7.
7.
2. That's a 9.
Okay. So you don't do more harm. You do manage to smear the disinfectant further into the wound, which doesn't really hurt. You do notice that the actual muscles around his wings haven't been overly traumatized. It's very swollen and sore. And there's a couple of cut ligaments which would not attach to where his wings go up to, do the extension and things like that. And but it seems to have healed over into a stump fairly well already, very rapidly, in fact, preserving his life's fluids. And you notice that there's a little bit of protruding bone which is slowly closing over, and the physician is smearing a sap over top of it to sort of poultice and seal it up, and then he wraps it with some tape and says, "Stop that!" He slaps your hand and pushes you back. "What are you doing?"
Saving his life.
"I'm afraid only divine intervention can do that. The evil spirits will have gotten into these wounds, I'm sure, up in the mountains out of the city. If I had attended to him straight away, maybe, but this is obviously days old."
When the mention of evil spirits happened, Galavir started thinking about what the possibilities would be if he poured the vial of the lich into the wounds. He finds himself rather amused by this thought.
Right. Galavir, you feel a thump in your coat around the site of that egg. Like a cell phone just went.
Watch this. And he starts feeling around in the pouch. Is something moving?
There's a slight fissure in the shell of the egg.
Oh. Excuse me for a moment. And he starts walking out, trying to make his way to an alley.
Okay. There is an alley right between basically the alchemist shop and the heavy drumstick.
I'm straight there.
Sorry, the apothecary. Okay. So you go around the corner of the alley and you interrupt a couple of individuals in the garb of the Blood Jungles who are basically smoking something noxious, and they look over to you with bleary eyes, and one of them sort of just like reaches down, grabs a dagger, takes it out of his sheath and says, "Money."
I stretch myself up to my full height because I was bending down trying to reach into stuff. And then I grab my scythe from behind and plop it down. Or scythe, and it hits the. I let it go up like a full 1.5 feet before letting it drop. When he says money, I go, blood.
His companion looks over at you, looks back at the other guy, and then goes. And they both sort of lean against each other, laughing and patting each other's backs. The noxious fumes of their narcotics floating over you. People from the Blood Jungle are fucking crazy.
Never mind. I'll take my leave.
And I walk with my scythe, and I'm still trying to find a quick place, any place, to be alone to watch this, so I can at least cut open this thing before it gets out of the egg.
There is a curtained alcove further down the alleyway, past these two idiots. Okay. So pulling aside the curtain, look inside, and there's a little old lady with many dried tomatoes sitting over a steaming cauldron. She looks up and says, "Can I help you?" Obviously not recognizing you.
He hands her a few copper pieces.
Can I be alone for like 3 minutes?
Yes. And she staggers outside.
Alright. I pull out the egg, and I take my scythe, and I'm going to do what I normally do for dissections. I place it down on the ground, and then I place the scythe into the egg, and I start carving open the egg itself into the shell.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
It's for the good of man.
So you're making no attempt to preserve the life of the egg whatsoever?
It depends on what would give him more research. Has a dragon egg documentation happened? Hatching?
No.
Alright, then if he would know this, which he probably would, he would probably just peck at it a bit, like tap it where the crack is with his war scythe, just the tip of the blade, and he'll set down next to it, and he'll just put his back against the wall of the alcove, and he'll start taking notes as he watches the egg on the ground.
Cool. All right. Brad, are you currently wearing shoes?
Yes.
What color are they?
Black.
Awesome. So the shell cracks open a little bit, and you see a black small talon reach out spider-like and just touch the outside of the shell, and then close and push and open up another little bit of it, and you see a one eye looking out, and it fixes you with a gaze, Galavir, and you see obvious intelligence as it looks up at you.
He sighs. And he continues sketching in his book.
There is a cold sensation, and the cauldron in front of you with the broth of tomatoes visibly sours and rots, and there's a wave of sort of necrotic energy which pulses out from the egg and rots the tomatoes and things that fall off the vine, the stems and things, and splatter against the ground as the egg shatters, as the infant dragon swells in size suddenly to that of basically the size of a small dog. It's about golden Labrador or black Labrador sized, and it unfurls its wings and stretches and places its feet on the ground and rises into a sitting position, and then looks at you, sort of stares at you.
I'll speak in Ignan.
Can you speak?
Cocks its head to the side.
Speak in Common.
Can you speak?
Speak in Dwarvish.
Can you speak?
Doesn't seem to understand you.
Interesting.
And I mark off the languages it didn't understand. Now I'm starting to think about at what point does language development occur in dragons, if at all. And he's just writing down different symbols. You can see he's taking notes in Ignan, and then he's taking his side notes about his notes in Dwarvish. And then there's a little special note under the diagram of the dragon as it's coming out that he's drawing, and he's doing his own little what's the word? Code. Basically, he takes symbols from all three languages, and he's putting them all together, streamlining them into like a conclusion at the top of the picture.
The hatchling snakes its neck over, pushes the cauldron onto the ground. It splatters rotten tomato juice, and it's eating up bits of acidic ooze across the ground. And it looks over itself and looks at its talons and flexes and stretches. And looks around and looks back at you.
Like to roll animal handling?
Sure. Not bad.
That would be 14.
Okay. It doesn't immediately kill you. That's great. So you've got a black dragon hatchling, which is ascertaining what the hell is going on.
Would I be aware of the history of black dragons, particularly?
No. No.
Fascinating.
And when I see that everything, when I see that the soup decayed in the presence of the hatchling after it hatched, like his eyes are moving left, right, and back and forth. Like there's tons of thoughts just circling his mind. So it hasn't attacked me yet, right?
No.
Thinks of the Aarakocra. He's kind of wondering if he could cut off its wings.
So the hatchling is warming to your presence with the calculating look of evil on your face. And it says,
What was that?
Bear, dark, near, snap. It sort of advances on you a bit, and its face gets reasonably close to yours.
Speak in Infernal. Can you speak?
You speak, not just jabbering. It says in Infernal back to you. I like your horns.
I have often been told I have good taste.
Sort of settles back down again and looks at the curtains exit to this little hovel room. What are you doing with me?
Studying you.
He says it very bluntly.
I've not seen your kind before. Not sure many who have. You're quite fascinating.
What is this place?
Temporary.
That's not an answer.
It is because we have to move. I don't think it would be very pleasant for either of us if you were to be seen.
So the hatchling sort of looks at you like, okay. So that's the first sound of protective sort of stuff that you've made towards it. Sorry, the wormling.
How much do you know?
Of what?
Your kind.
I know
Why?
what I am.
Really fascinating. What are you? What do you call yourself?
My name is not for you. You are not of my kind.
Brilliant deduction.
Takes and leans down, and he's looking very quizzical, right? He's bent, like he's starting to kind of like get down closer to his knees. He's bending down to try to see eye to eye with the black dragon wormling.
So, what would you want to do?
Sorry?
What are you feeling right now? Was it painful?
No.
Where are you supposed to be? Are you supposed to be anywhere?
At this point, the curtain twitches aside and the old lady shoves her face in. The dragon immediately turns around and regurgitates a stream of acid, which engulfs her, and she staggers back, screaming, acrid smoke fuming from her rapidly melting face, and she collapses against the back wall, her entrails popping out of her chest and laying across her legs. The dragon pounces upon her and starts greedily wolfing them down, going for the most noxious bits of her intestinal system first. The two druggies in the back of the alleyway look around at this and go, "Whoa!" and make a run for it, staggering in various directions. It's quick.
Before the scene transition, which I'm assuming it will, he's incredibly conflicted right now, because there's something that he thinks that should be preserved is now all of a sudden killing everything around it, so he's trying to figure out what the greater good would be.
Well, from a study perspective, you can tell that they can hunt and kill straight away, which is amazing.
Yes, instinctively they know a lot. Like the fact that he has a name and the fact, like, so that's what he was tracking down. So he's probably even taking notes as this is happening while looking slightly worried, like, should I be doing something?
Yeah. Okay, so you guys can hear a thump, and there's a yelling outside as the outside the apothecary as people go running past the closed door. Some sort of commotion out on the street. Isakra, you're feeling a lot better actually, and somewhat more stable on your feet. The pain has lessened. He's given you basically a vitamin shot, and you're feeling pretty good. His prices are reasonable. He's only demanding 1 silver for his services. Yeah, and you're actually feeling slightly more sober as well. Oren, you're still pissed.
Yeah, I'll probably just returned from the trough.
Yeah, so we'll give you dexterity at a disadvantage on for the next hour or so.
Yeah, so I peed on my shoes. Okay.
Not that bad. But just staggering. So yeah, there's an obvious commotion down on the street. The apothecary is done with his business. It's pretty quick, really, and is anxious for you guys to get out.
I hop down off the table and hand him 2 silver and just nod my head in thanks to him and wander out into the street.
As you're walking out the door, you hear the alchemist mutter at your back, "Of course, I don't need to tell you what this means with your people."
Yeah. I turn back over my shoulder and just nod and keep walking.
Cool. Okay, so yeah, there's a commotion as 2 druggies from the blood jungles have raced out screaming something about a wild dog. There's a hellhound in the alleyway.
So what?
Hellhound, dude! And I will beeline for the alley.
Yeah, immediately race to danger, like all good heroes. Cool. Okay, so yeah, you round the corner on the alleyway and you see this dragon wormling, which is wolfing down the entrails of an old woman. And as it's tearing out a particularly stubborn bit of lower intestine, it snaps its head around and its black eyes flash white as it looks at you. Notices your presence, Tharazul, for one reason or another. It sniffs the air.
Take a good look, worm. This is the last thing you're going to see, and it is not a pretty.
And I smile.
It assesses the situation, gulps down the last bit of intestine, bunches its legs up, and then leaps into the air, and its wings flap, and it makes its way across the rooftops. Escapo.
Quick, after it.
He just like, brushes out, like bull rushes through this curtain, and just his feet or his really nice shoes are being stained by the blood of the entrails mixed with the acid, which are probably changing the coloration. It's probably like a green precipitate forming out of the reaction of his shoes.
We must be after it.
Yeah, there's a chlorine stink, a miasma of chlorine mist, which is wafting down the alleyway as you come running through the mist. After it! Long legs striding, looking up into the sky.
How tall is like the canopy of this place, AJ, as far as the buildings go?
It's about 3 stories, most buildings, and they have things strewn in between them. It's kind of like, what do you call it? in that sort of Middle Eastern style, they have walls sort of, so you can't see the lower windows and things like that, and they're sort of
gotcha.
walled off. Yeah. So it is possible for agile people to make their way across the rooftops and things and climb along ropes and things. So you can take to the rooftops and chase after it if you wish.
That's definitely my plan. Like when he says after it, I just pull out and spin 2 kunai on each hand and start stabbing it into the wall, trying to climb up it.
You quickly make your way up to one of the ropes, which is attached to a hot balloon up above, a buoyant balloon, and shimmy up a rope and then swing across to another one. And pretty soon you guys are basically all drunkenly swinging around the top rooftops and slamming into things and bursting through bits of laundry and scaring people who are half naked and washing themselves in basins and, run through, smash a chicken coop, it goes wafting feathers and things like that. And you're standing at the edge, basically as far as you can go, and this thing has perched on a rooftop across a wide thoroughfare, and it's looking at you both, looking at all of you who are sort of, and it's like, it whispers across at you,
Why do you chase me?
Well, how wide is this thoroughfare?
about 35 feet.
I'm going to spend a key point and use Step of the Wind and jump across at it.
It's somewhat shocked at this. And you land Monkey King style behind it. What would you like to do with this thing?
I want to jump on it.
You have the drop on it.
So I jump across. You see me just come down like a drip of black water. I pull out and then jump up, and I want to grab it and try to mangle up its wings with one of my arms, so it can't fly
Okay.
away.
Sure. Give me an attack roll for grapple.
Oh, I need you to roll for me, Rob, because my dice stream's not working.
Alright.
Rob's my dice arbiter.
16.
Oh, nice. Yeah, no problem. You easily grapple this thing. It's got a strength of 15, which I'm pretty sure you can beat.
Yeah, Thurswell has a 16 strength.
Yep, so it's stronger than you thought, but yeah, it's no match for you, and it's like,
Let me go! You
and
cannot escape the shadow of justice, worm!
Nice. Galavia, you notice with keen interest, this thing's picked up common in a matter of minutes. Chippe?
Take mental note of that fact.
Yeah, so it's picked up common after only being able to speak Infernal. It's now conversing with Tharazul in his own accented language.
He's speaking with an accent.
Yeah.
Let me go! What? I am not going to let you anywhere, tricky, tricky, tricky.
And I look across at Galavir and the rest of the party and say,
Come over here, I'm going to need your help.
By the way, I'm finally showing up, and I'm doing like a really bad spider crawl like, that I learned from Thursday, you know. Trying to sneak.
Roll over. Crawl up to the edge of the thing, flop over the side.
Yeah.
That heavy exertion of climbing across rooftops and things has kind of sobered you up a bit. Yeah, you're looking over at Tharazul, who's holding on to a black dragon wormling. Now, you've heard of black dragons because you're more interested in the sort of alchemy side of things. So you've seen once, you saw a bit of dragon horn that you actually got to study. but you don't know the difference between chromatic dragons and non-chromatic and metallic dragons or dragon lore or anything like that. As far as you know, they're legendary beasts, and you've seen one in the flesh, and you know that they speak. But this one looks entirely different to the bronze one. Whether it's very different coloration and body form at a young age and grows into a bronze dragon, you don't know. But you know these things are magical, for sure.
I look over here. What happened?
Research. Gone like all good research is. Out of control.
He laughs. And he jumps, and he makes his way, try to jumps to head toward Tarazul.
As you look up in the sky and laugh, behind you in a kitchen with some oriental-looking people, a wok explodes with some flame and a bit of, and there's a fireball that goes into the sky behind you as you for consistency.
Why does that always happen?
It's as if fire just flies him everywhere.
It's a tiefling. Come on.
It's a tiefling. I was trying to imply that state. So does he make the land? Do I need to do an athletics check or something?
Oh yeah, you certainly do.
Because he's running at full speed with a freaking war scythe on his hands.
Yeah. With smoking shoes, yeah. Which have
Yes.
no tread on them anymore.
No, and they probably have like little dust particles of the chemical reaction. All right, that is a 23.
Oh, nice. Okay, so you land it. Huh. The wormling looks around and it sort of slumps somewhat and says, "I will not give you any problems. I will serve my masters."
Masters.
Yes.
Can I do an insight check to see if that's even remotely true?
Sure.
Or a history? Okay, either way. 'Cause 18 on the die.
So this thing is not stupid, and it recognizes that you guys can easily kill it. So it is basically preserving its life. You know, it's recognized that this is that its only way to live is to be useful to you. This is instinctual behavior.
Such instincts. Such instincts. He really wants to take notes right now, even though he can't because he's got his freaking scythe in his hand. And he plops the scythe up against a wall next to the thoroughfare, and he just grabs his hand and he starts putting up against the dragon. And he's trying to hold him down, trying to display his strength too, trying to display the dragon out basically on its back to show dominance as he knows other beasts have.
Okay. It's not fond of that.
So, your life is dependent on how useful you are.
I can serve you well. I am stealthy, and I can fly, and I can kill, and steal.
You can steal?
And an eyebrow raises.
I will steal from my masters.
No, there'll be no need for such impotence, frivolence.
What type of things
Same
can you
team.
steal?
Shut up, Tharjul.
My grip starts to loosen.
My grip tightens.
I want knowledge.
I will tell you what you want to know. If I can.
Alright. What constellation is out right now?
It is
Interesting.
daytime. I cannot
Interesting.
see the stars.
How often are you able to do what you did to those tomatoes?
I did not do anything. It was my birth pang.
Fascinating. What kind of creature is this? And he points to Tharazul.
Do not answer him, dragon. Some secrets are not to be told.
Just tell me. And I tighten my grip.
I pull out my lich and I point it at him.
This is what happened to the last dark entity that messed with me.
No! Please, masters! I will serve!
Then tell me what kind of creature it is.
Do not tell him.
Fine. He loosens his grip. And, look. Do you know where other of your kind are?
They are rare and not near. Very far. My parent was chased here and had to lay her young.
So you have brothers and sisters then?
I don't call them such. Rivals and servants only.
Would you like them to be your servants?
Yes.
Then perhaps
If
we
Master
have...
helps me, I could reward you.
Yes, by stealing for us.
Shut up.
He looks at you scoffingly. He's wondering to himself, why did he ever find that crooked yellow smile so endearing? And he looks down at the dragon.
It's like, then perhaps our interests align a little bit more.
And I'd like to make an animal handling check to prop him up to his feet, and to just
Oh, you can do
get
so.
him. All right.
He's relatively compliant now.
How do I know you won't fly off as soon as I let you go?
You may bind my wings, Master.
Darzul, do you have rope?
Oh, I have a rope, but I promise you, this worm not going anywhere. If he try to fly away, I will swat him down like fly.
And I see the flies around, and I'm like,
I wonder if...
and he's wondering if that's actually true. Looks back. What do I see with the Sakura and Orwin?
So they're still sitting on the opposite side of the street on the third-story rooftop, looking over with the wafting smell of burning Chinese food behind them. Sort of leading and watching with interest. They can hear what's going on.
Yeah, I'm in no position to attempt such a large leap after my last failure, so I would be looking for the quickest way down and the quickest way up to the other side.
So you can shimmy down a hot balloon rope and make your way down to the street fairly easily from here.
I would do so.
Yeah.
You're far away from the commotion outside the tavern. The Happy Drumstick and the Apothecary, that's 6 blocks back. and you're now further up the slope into the city, and you're more towards the more opulent part of town, where there are temples and basically the houses of the nobility and the leaders of the city and guild halls are around this part, sort of in a semicircle around a higher fortress peak that goes into the mountain. So yeah, the people down on the street are better dressed, sparser, not so crowded, and there's not such a huge presence of guards and things down around here. It's more people just going about their business, quietly shuffling around with papers and sachets and stuff. And they're looking with great interest at you guys who are out of place.
Look, we need to get out of here. Tarasul, do you mind tying him up? Or at least handing me the rope?
Okay. And I open up the bag and pull out this long rope, and as I'm doing it, I say,
Don't forget, make worm tell name.
and I hand it to him.
What is your name?
One moment, please.
So, Gallagher, part of your little mystery has been solved. This specimen. Glad to see you didn't kill it.
Don't worry, there's promise of more. This is highly eventful. Perhaps one of the better findings I could have possibly asked for. Something that could cause something to decay could be just as valuable at learning how to reverse the process.
And as he thinks of the word decay, he starts sniffing the air and he looks over toward Tarazul.
Indeed.
You see withered, beady eyes staring back at you.
Still something strangely endearing.
My name is Iximac Sipiar.
I shall call you Saki.
As you wish, master.
Yes, a fine name. A drink of scholars for someone who can learn languages so quickly.
Your language is not hard to understand, like the yapping of dogs.
I would rather like to learn yours.
Mine is the language of magic.
He because he's still holding him down, right? And is Tarazul tying him up at this point, the wings?
Yeah.
Yup.
As Tarazul's doing that, he can free up one of his hands, and he snaps his finger, and he makes the sound extremely loud with thaumaturgy. And he goes in with his voice.
It is a language that I'm not too unfamiliar with. Do not.
So what did you? Oh, so you're an acolyte?
I'm a tiefling.
Oh, okay.
It's thaumaturgy.
Nice.
And
Okay.
he also has really high intelligence.
Do not take me for an insolent plebeian such as those around me.
And he looks at Tarazul. Looks back.
Trust me, there is very little you could say that I could not understand.
So he claims, but you're the one that knows the language he doesn't.
Guinevere, you have a residence not too far from here, which has got cages and things which are well and truly big enough for this beast. Although I don't know if a metal cage would be able to hold it if it can breathe acid. But I'm sure you can figure out something.
First act as my servant.
And he emphasizes my. He pulls out a small vial.
Spit in here. Small. The tip of the fang.
I look at Galavir and I say,
Our servant, Galavir. Our servant.
I don't want to need to milk it out of you. Tip of the fang.
I don't have venom like a snake.
No, but you have breath. That is acid. I need some of it.
Then he thinks back. Then he thinks back to the ground, and he's like, maybe I could gather some samples from there. Of course, he could have already reacted at this point.
Are you holding the flask, or are you going to put it down on the ground?
he'll hold it.
Sure.
So go ahead and breathe right into that flask.
I'm gonna put it down. Set it in front of the.
So
Hopefully it's
big
not
gout of it all the way across the flask and splatters across the tip of your shoe and eats into the wood on the slates, the cedar slates on the top of the roof, and the flask sort of tips sideways a little bit and it's half full, steaming.
I grab a piece of like a cloth, like my handkerchief, try to pick up just gently, like the clearest part, like I'm holding something that I'm pulling out of the oven, and I just
give me an Arcana check.
All right.
Do not roll a 1.
8.
Okay, that's not too bad. So it rapidly starts to eat through the fabric. You hurriedly drop it, and then grab a a couple of something non-edible by acid, and pick it up with that, and basically slosh it with your flask a few times, and spray water over top of it to neutralize the acid, and then you stopper it, and it's now safe to carry.
I neutralized it?
You neutralize the outside of the flask.
Okay. Because I was still trying, like, the goal was to try to figure out what neutralizes it, so that way I know what to surround the cage with.
Water.
Oh. So I figured that out already by the tomatoes and because it was soup.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. So it's like seems to have taken it out of it a bit.
Good. Shall we head home then?
He says it's completely cheerful. Starts loosening his grip on the dragon, looking over at Orin and Asakura.
The dragon sort of stretches and its wings bound up, and it picks up its paw and sort of where one of you is leaning on it too heavily. It's just a baby.
I'm gonna tell the dragon as he's looking at Asakura and Orin.
Oh, cheer up. Tonight I send you on your first stealing mission.
If my kind knew what happiness was, I would feel it.
There is no need for stealing.
And he looks at Tharazul.
None whatsoever.
I will determine need.
Turns out Asakura.
How do you put up with him?
I just ignore him mostly.
So you guys are back down on the street now?
Yep, trying to walk to my house as quickly as possible with the freaking black dragon wormling.
Believe it or not, now that it's got its wings strapped down, people think it's some sort of a desert lizard, and they don't recognize it immediately as what it actually is. They just think it's some sort of exotic pet. But yeah, the moment this thing starts flying, people will scream dragon.
I tied its wings really funny too, so it looks like a pillar going up on its back. Like I wrapped the wings around each other when I tied it.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, that's very uncomfortable for a dragon. It's like,
Please, could you bind them against my body?
Oh, shut up, servant!
And I'm like kick dirt on him.
Yes, master.
also, people don't seem to think that it's actually talking. They think it's just somebody doing a cantrip with some ventriloquism.
The world's worst ventriloquism show. I just wink at Oren.
Nice. So, as you guys enter into Galavir's humble abode with his Skeksis-like laboratory of small creatures and a crystal arrangement and a slab and things, and the door closes behind you, and the sun sinks into the sunset behind the city of Black Rock, also known as White Rock. Oh, Whitestone, sorry. No, Rock. And we'll call it an end to the session. As I promised, remarkably free of combat.
But let me just add that as soon as we walk in the door, I let out a little of excitement because it's an actual laboratory, something I've not been able to have or see in a few years.
Yeah, this place is a rich place of all sorts of alchemical goodies. And it's bloody hot. It's about 45 degrees in here and spicy as hell. There's plumes of peppers and chili and all sorts of really spicy condiments and things, there's even chili jam on the shelves, and various other bits and pieces, and lots of probably illegal substances in jars and things, which, yeah, typical of a home of a tiefling, dangerous in some parts. Not child safe, for sure.
All for the pursuit of good of man.
Yeah, that's right. All right. So join us if you're watching this in a couple of weeks, where we will gather against on another Saturday night over in the States, or a Sunday afternoon in my case. And I'll catch you guys later. I'm just going to end the broadcast, guys, but we'll stay and chat for a minute.